These people are geniuses. I was rocking in the economics and business university for 5 years, and these people just bought 3 goats and made $1 million business. Everything is possible.
Dina Calakovic, the LinkedIn copywriting queen, came to the Nomad Solopreneur show. She's the co-founder of Authority Marketing, who was able to grow her personal brand from 700 to almost 90,000 followers without talking about anything personal. It's safe to say she knows a thing or two about copywriting, but that wasn't always the case.
And he said, "Have you ever heard of copywriting?" I said, "No, what's that?" "I really don't like outreach. You're never in a position of power. You always need to prove yourself to them, why they should choose you, why they should invest in your solution, why they should trust you can solve the problem, and so on." We named it the targeted content model. So this is how you steer your audience towards what you want to sell.
Hey Dina, welcome to the Nomad Solopreneur show.
Thank you so much for having me.
How do you become the authority that you are today on LinkedIn and in general in the marketing world?
Well, it's been a journey of 3 years since I started posting on LinkedIn. So I've been posting content that's helpful to my target audience and try to be as helpful as I possibly can to my audience and just giving them a lot of value. So yeah, it took about 3 years and here I am.
It's one of those overnight success, right?
I wouldn't say it's an overnight success. Basically, before I even started posting on LinkedIn, 1 to 2 years before that, I think it was about 1.5 years before that, I started learning everything I possibly could about LinkedIn. So before I even wrote a single post, and 2.5 years before that, I was already learning about copywriting, also everything that I possibly could. I was preparing 10 hours a day, 2 years in advance to start.
Wow.
Yes. So this is where results come from. Overnight success, I don't believe honestly it exists. And I believe that behind all good results is hard work. Yeah.
Definitely. And I've never met a person that's been successful overnight. And even if, for example, growing fast on LinkedIn, let's say, some of them did, but before arriving at that point, they put in the work, they had experience in other fields like marketing and so on. Overnight success doesn't exist.
Yeah, absolutely. It's every time like that. Basically, everything that you learn along the way, and then when you apply it somewhere where your skills are transferable, this is where people see very fast success. And of course, that audience can see, oh, this guy is killing it from nothing, but that's far away from true. Like that guy has been mastering 10 skills in the background for the past X years. And that's why his results are so good. So I definitely agree with you on that one.
Yes, and speaking of background, what's your background before you enter the copywriting world and marketing world?
So I have a master's degree in economics and business. And basically, I hated my university. I was very miserable there. And I didn't know what to do with my life because I grew up in an environment where I've been taught that if you suck at math, which I do, you're basically an idiot. So it was a very toxic environment. And yeah, I still have a PTSD from my university because I couldn't fit in. I had to learn, I think, 10 times more than any average student to pass exams like finance, accounting, microeconomics, and stuff like that. So yeah, I hated it with passion. But then after I finished it, after I got my master's degree, I was thinking on what to do because I didn't want to do just something that will pay the bills and help me have a nice career. And if I'll be miserable, one day I was talking to a friend who is a graphic designer. And I mentioned that I don't know what to do with my life because I love writing so much, but it's an unprofitable skill. This is what I thought at the day. By the way, I was doing event management back then. And I said, listen, I'm burning out here. I can't do events anymore. My phone is ringing 24/7. I can't even eat in peace. I want to do something else. But yeah, the only thing I like to do is writing, which is completely unprofitable. What am I going to do? Write a children's book. And he was like, unprofitable? What are you talking about? And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, have you ever heard of copywriting? I said, no, what's that? And then he explained to me, what is that? And I said, can people earn good money from that? Because I heard that people get paid on Fiverr, I don't know, $10 for some article or something. He was like, $10. What are you talking about? Good copywriters earn thousands of dollars. And by the way, what you're talking about at the moment is content writing, not copywriting. And I was like, okay, what's the difference? Basically, I didn't know anything about it. And as soon as he told me you actually can make a living doing what you love, that thing exists, I was completely hooked. Since that point, I was doing everything I possibly can to learn everything about the craft. And for a long time, I was doing jobs simultaneously. I was learning the craft while I was doing my old job. And then around COVID is when I switched completely.
I love that, especially because it's something that a lot of people can relate to. Lots of people are struggling in a place that they are not fulfilled. They don't find purpose. They're fed up with the things that they are doing in that moment. And they have a hard time switching to something else. And in your case, from what I understand, you expose yourself by discussing with your friend and open to learn new things. And even that you have that passion about writing, you have no idea what copywriting is. And for those listening, what would be your advice about switching the things that they are doing right now to something that they might fulfill them? Because a lot of people are struggling in low paid jobs or low paid freelancing gigs. How do you see this switch happening?
Yes, I would say it's all a matter of the right information and the information that's available to you. I would say that the key is talking to as many people as possible and try to put yourself in the rooms where you are the dumbest person, and also following a lot of good content. So following like good newsletters, following good content creators. Basically feed yourself with quality, feed your brain with quality, and just try to expand on your knowledge. Because what I realized that a lot of people have great potential, but they're just not aware of it. They're not aware that, for example, something they know or some skill they have can be massively useful to somebody else, and that they actually sit on money, sit on gold, but they're not aware of it at all. So I would say that reaching the right information, if you're in that position, should be the first priority to you. And then everything will take care of itself along the way.
I love that, because consuming the right content and the right information, it's so essential nowadays, especially in a world full of noise, full of experts and gurus and so on. Choosing the content that you consume is so important. How do you continue to learn new things in the position that you are now? Because you're one of the top creators in the world.
There are many amazing creators, and I would say that the biggest hack is muting and unfollowing. So people basically think that what will speed up their success is that they follow as many creators as possible, that they subscribe to as many newsletters as possible, which is wrong. You basically need to do the opposite. For example, on my feed, I unfollow probably at least 100 accounts daily. So I want to just feed my brain with quality. Otherwise, I'm just losing my time. So if I'm scrolling to newsfeed and I need 5 minutes to scroll to the good post, that's like I lost a lot of time there. I never let that happen. Each newsletter I subscribe to, I give them a couple of chances. If you're not bringing me enough value, I'm unsubscribing. And that's basically it. So I would say it's important to find that balance in the beginning. You'll probably try to read that information, as I said before, and then you'll try to follow as many as possible. But then again, as soon as you realize that you are not either learning from something or that it doesn't interest you, I would say mute and block right away. So you want to guard your time and you want to grow and improve yourself as soon as possible. And that you can achieve by following the best. Discover what interests you and then follow those people. And also, like, I follow people for different reasons. Maybe I follow people from industries that don't interest me, for example, finance, but I can see that their structure of writing is really good. So I can learn that from them, right? Some other people I will follow because I can learn, I don't know, good growth strategies from them. And maybe then they don't write the best, but they have a huge knowledge on growth. So I'm going to follow them for that reason. So obviously there are different reasons, but yes, I would say that's the key.
Thanks you so much for sharing that. Also, one trick that I use is to follow someone that it's in the place that I want to arrive, either by achieving new knowledge or literally by arriving at that authority level or something similar. And speaking of your main skill, copywriting, for those listening that don't understand exactly the difference between content writing and copywriting, can you share a short definition of that?
Yes, basically content writing is creating interest and awareness, and then copywriting should turn that interest into money. So copywriting is the final point. So let's take LinkedIn as an example. If somebody who follows your content, like posts are your content, right? So newsletter is your content, posts are your content. You're basically educating them on the problem they have and the solution they need to apply to solve that problem. And you're creating brand awareness. You're creating awareness that you exist and that you are the right person who can solve that problem for them. And then over time, you put an offer in front of them. That offer will usually have some kind of a landing page or a sales page. And then when they land on that page, this is where it's copywriting. So on that page, your job is to impel them to buy. So to take that action you want them to do. So it's usually buying. Of course, it doesn't have to be buying always. It can be, if it's a higher ticket service, for example, then it will be book a 30-minute free consultation call, discovery call, or whatever. Or if it's a product, then of course it will be buy immediately. But that's the difference between content and copy. So copy is bottom of the funnel and content is top and mid of the funnel.
I love the fact that even that your success, it's so much linked to LinkedIn, you leverage the power of landing pages and sales pages through copy. And as someone that is building the websites for a living, I can relate so much. And I sometimes feel a small itch when I see people pushing so much, selling in DMs, doing that and commenting a lot and so on. What's your opinion about that approach comparing to engaging people with content and driving that traffic towards your landing page? What's your best approach?
I never liked outbound outreach, and we don't send one outbound message. My agency doesn't work like that. Basically, all the clients that we get are inbound, and it's so much easier that way because outbound is not scalable. So of course, it can help you sell more, especially if you want to build an agency business. It's a struggle. So first of all, it's not scalable. You always need to invest X amount of time a day to message 10, 20, 30, 50 people, never mind. Content, on the other hand, when you start writing, 10 people will see it. In 1 year, 10,000 people will see it. In 2 years, 100,000 people will see it. So it's like infinitely scalable. And the second thing I really don't like about outreach is that you're never in a position of power. So when you reach out to somebody, you're always in a lower position. So you always need to prove yourself to them, why they should choose you, why they should invest in your solution, why they should trust you can solve the problem, and so on. And it's an uphill battle. So even if you manage to get them on a discovery call, again, you need to have a very structured pitch. You need to know what you say in which moment to convert them. And of course, some people master that skill and they're really good. They can convert tons like that. But personally, the whole process I find horrible. So when you compare it to inbound, when somebody already knows your name, they already know what you bring to the table. So your name carries weight here. You're not just somebody, and they already want to work with you. So let's say they trust and like you. They just want to make that final step, jumping on a call with you to basically find out the details. So these calls look completely different. They have zero structure. You don't need to prepare for them. They look more like a casual chit chat than some formatted pitch, pushy sales or whatnot. So it's so much relaxed to sell that way. You basically attract people who already trust you. And the best part of it is that you attract people who resonate well with you. I would say that with inbound, it's very rare that you will attract a client who is a nightmare to work with. That happens as well, of course. You cannot have ideal clients all the time. but much less than outbound, because these people resonate with you, and that's why they reached out. If they didn't resonate with you in the first place, they will never reach out, because people need not only trust that you can solve a problem, but they also need to like you. That also minimizes the chance you're going to work with a nightmare client. So all of these things combined, even though that outbound can bring sales on top of inbound, I simply refuse to do it. It's not something for me.
I cannot agree more with you. Even that I started my career in sales, I always hate selling. And I always enjoy having, as you mentioned, a casual chit-chat conversation in which I didn't have to be pushy. The people already trust me, even coming by recommendation or inbound. And it's so much easier, so much less time consuming. And I know that lots of people struggle with this, to turning that table upside down and start creating something meaningful in terms of content in order to attract the right audience and to actually get inbound leads. If you can create a framework or step-by-step process for those listening to start moving themselves towards the inbound world instead of trying to spam people, trying to reach out and write tens of messages a day to get clients. What will be your approach if you are just starting out, or maybe you don't have the current expertise that you have now with copywriting?
Well, I would do the same as I did. So basically, if you need money immediately, don't spam people. Instead, go do something. You can always be a waiter. You can always go cleaning, whatnot, and pay your bills. And at the same time, learn a profitable skill. So once that you learn that profitable skill, then you can create content which is helpful to your audience. So basically, I would say that to have the maximum results, you should be clear on who you help, what you help them with, and how, and then go from there. So all of your messaging needs to be framed around that. Whose problem do you solve and how do you solve it? And then talk about it in your content. Basically, a lot of people do cold outreach and spamming because they think, oh, this is the only way to get the money now. But I don't know what's their success rate, like how many clients do they manage to close with that approach, if any. But I would say no, drop it, like completely drop it. If you need the money, go and work somewhere and simultaneously build your brand. And then in a year from now, you will be out of that position.
Definitely. I took that approach as well. I was in a low paid job in order to be able to build something on the side, and 100% works. We often come up with this excuse that we don't have time to do something on the side. We are tired from our full-time job or whatever. Yes, we are tired, but lack of time, that doesn't exist. We always have time for what we want. And if we want to exceed a certain level, or even on income or the life that we have right now, we can always change that if we want. And once you arrive at that level of creating content around how, who, and why you help, how do you push things further, make them convert and guide them to your landing page or something to be able to transform them into clients? What's the amount of content that you create for awareness compared to the one that you create for conversion in your approach?
It's gonna differ a little bit, but not much. So what you want to do is never to push, but to pull people in. And how do you do that is by generating demand. First, you need to decide what you want to sell. I'll give you an example. At one point, it was a couple of months ago, we were very, very busy, and the only service we could possibly offer that we have time for was writing LinkedIn profiles. This is the service that's like a productized service for us. We can do it fairly quickly. And yes, so this was the only service we could possibly offer. We didn't have time to write anything else because we were working on our newsletter. We were working on products and stuff like that, on thinking on new offers and how do we want to move from here. So basically we said, okay, the only thing we can do at the moment is write LinkedIn profiles. So obviously we wanted to generate demand for LinkedIn profile writing. So what did we do? We talked about LinkedIn profiles, I would say 3 out of 5 posts a week. only about that. Okay. So we would talk about what do you do with your headline, what do you do with your banner, what common mistakes that people do with their profiles, results we had with previous clients, case studies, posting testimonials. So everything that we possibly can so that we generate demand for profile writing. And in that period, when we had, let's say 70% of content based on profile writing, guess what? Most of the inbound leads were asking, I would say 9 out of 10 would ask me, hey, can you write my profile? Nobody asked, hey, can you write my sales page? Why? Because I wasn't talking about it in my content. So it's simple as that. Basically decide what you want to sell. We named it the targeted content model. So decide what you're selling, decide who you're selling to, and then think on what do they need to see before they buy. So how will they know you can solve their problem? And this is some examples that I was telling you earlier. So you will post your case studies, you will post very good advice to people, you will post testimonials, results you've had, I don't know, how to plus examples. So how to do X, how to achieve a desired outcome, and then specific examples, how to achieve that. So these are all post forms that are really good for proving competence. And then when you post about it for 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, there's consistently, the inbound leads will start flowing in. So this is it. And then after that, when we decided to, okay, now we want to do more of something else. Now we have a new offer. We want to do that one. Then we start talking about that. And then guess what? None of the inbound leads, or maybe 2 out of 10 asked about the profiles, and more asked about this new offer. So this is how you steer your audience towards what you want to sell.
That's awesome. And what I love about it is that you don't stick to one single offer or one single service that you offer. You are known from an authority in the marketing field and in copywriting field, and you steer your audience on the offer that you have. Either you have resources for it or capacity to do it.
Thank you. Yes, the main reason for that is that we're still in a startup mode, I would say. So we are still trying to decide on where to double down. We are aware that we are doing too many things at once, which is not scalable. But at the same time, we want to try out different things because we want to see where we can deliver the most value to the client for the least amount of our time. And basically, that's the sweet spot we are trying to look for. And also think on what do we enjoy doing. So do we enjoy more one-on-ones, or do we enjoy group coaching, or, as I said, done for you model, or creating products? So what do we enjoy doing most? And this is why we are also trying with different offers. Basically, copywriting and marketing in general is very wide. You can do thousands of things with that. You can just be an email copywriter, for example, and just do email sequences. There are many things you can do. And as somebody who started just like, I want to write, I really love writing, and I know I'm good with that, and I want to do copywriting specifically, I wanted to try out many different things. And I wanted to try out what do I hate doing, what do I love doing, what type of clients do I want to attract. More or less, you cannot know all of that in the first month of work. It needs to be a period of a couple of years, I would say at least, where you gather experience and then you see what works, what doesn't work for you, and then decide. I would say that the most powerful approach definitely would be if you had 1 to 3 core offers that you would consistently talk about. And even after you get sick about it, like you talk about it even more, this is where the power lies, because then people resonate your name with those specific offers. This is where you can convert the best. And this is where we saw our clients do the best. So clients who had the best results were always, without exception, experts that had at least 10 years of expertise. So they knew exactly what they want to do. They were not in that startup mode where we still are after a couple of years. So these people really know who they want to reach. And of course, their results are fast like this.
Yeah, definitely. And what I love about the example that you share on your own business is that even after so many years, you guys are still in a startup mode. And I think for anyone listening that it's trying to figure out their perfect path, the perfect service and everything in weeks or months, they should take a breath and listen that this don't happen overnight. You have to test, try things and see what works, what doesn't, what, as you mentioned, enjoy doing it. Because if you end up in a place that you do something just for money or do something just for the fact that it's popular or it's trendy, like for example, it's AI now, that can be wasted time probably long term. And I love the way you think about these things. And I want to ask you, do you invest in yourself in certain way in terms of having a coach or having someone to learn from, apart from the creators that you consume content from, or apart from your brainstorming session with your business partner? How do you manage to level up and make sure that you're on the right track?
Very good question. Yes. Well, besides content and buying different products that where I can learn from, we are definitely looking into hiring a mentor and hiring mentors all the time. What helped me immensely in my business in general is, for example, hiring a therapist. Speaking to a therapist once in 2 weeks has been amazing for me. And I think that you always need to have mentors, for example, personal trainers, therapists, just invest in yourself. I have that covered, but we are now looking for the business mentor that will basically tell us, okay, guys, do this from this stage onwards. And then when we are finished with that mentor, hire another one and just go and go, because hiring a mentor can speed up your progress and you don't waste months, years wandering around. So yeah, this is our plan.
That, and I think is the only true quick hack that we can use, because all the other hacks to grow fast the business, they are not real. And to actually invest in yourself and have access to the right resources, the right people, it's immense. And speaking of resources, what will be your go-to resources or recommended resources for those listening in order to go on that path that you describe of turning words into money?
If they want, they can follow our newsletter, authority.marketing. It's our website and the link to subscription is there. We aim to share a lot of value with our subscribers, even more than on LinkedIn, because we go into every topic deeper and we can elaborate more and give more examples. I would say that one, definitely J.K. Molina. So his newsletter is amazing. I admire that guy. He's simply awesome. So basically, I never skip his newsletters, as well as this is not for writing, but I really like Contrarian Thinking by Cody Sanchez. It's about investing in boring businesses. And that writing in that newsletter, whoever is her copywriter, they should be paid like $1 million per newsletter. That's like, these people are insanely talented. So I would say this is what I told you previously. Even though you're not maybe interested in some topic like straight away, like I wasn't interested in investing in boring businesses, but I started to follow the newsletter only because my co-founder told me, oh my God, they write like insanely, like their writing is insanely good. And now I'm even hooked on the topic itself. So now I'm even hooked on investing in boring businesses. So this is what a good writing can do. These are the main two I would mention.
I like those, and I definitely can confirm that all three are amazing resources, because are few of the newsletters that I actually read weekly as well, starting with your newsletters. You guys every single week deliver amazing value. And I was like, how are you able to provide and be constant? As someone that has a newsletter as well, it's so hard for me. Of course, I'm not a copywriter, so it's so hard for me to keep on delivering value, but you guys are a true inspiration. And Molina, it's also great. And Cody Sanchez, I first heard about her from a podcast, and I was blown away by the way she thinks and how she sees business in general. And I was like, wow, we have a lot to learn from her.
Exactly. This is also the thing I was telling you earlier on, how we all don't have the access to the right information. So I don't know about you, but I was also raised in an environment where you could only make money if you have a startup, if you have some great new genius idea that nobody had before you. And this is how you make money. If you don't have that, well, sorry, bye. Like, you're going to die poor. And then there comes Cody, who says, no, like, basically businesses who make the most money are completely boring businesses, like construction, vending machines, whatnot. And her stories are so inspiring, like how people make money out of basically nothing. Recently, she had a newsletter where a person just started a rent-a-goat business. So they were renting goats for people who wanted them to mow their lawns and didn't want to hire people to do it or do it themselves. So they would just rent goats. And I think that's like $1 million business. Insane. Wow. I was like, these people are geniuses. I was rotting in the economics and business university for 5 years. And these people just bought 3 goats and made $1 million business. Everything is possible. So yeah, this is what I was telling you. When somebody switches that old information into new information and switches that perspective, that's everything. That's so powerful.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely can relate with the environment, especially that I'm also from the Eastern Europe. I'm from Romania. And as you grow in Croatia, me and Romania, we know that part of the world, it's a bit different. And I want to ask you how that influenced your path and so the willing to go out of that environment, because I know that now you live in the UK, and how that process unfolded in order to also enter this world of copywriting as a non-native English speaker.
It's an insane amount of work. People don't realize how much work it is behind that. So you have to work on your language every single day. I have to read every day. My fiance is English. So I ask him 100 times a day, what does this mean? And he's like, I already told you 50 times. You again forgot a word. I'm like, yeah, sorry. It's all the time working on your language. And yeah, it's just constant work. So one thing that helped immensely, I don't read in Croatian anymore at all. So everything is in English. Even the settings on my phone, everywhere is just English. When I know a lot of people, when they watch Netflix, for example, or they watch a movie, they watch it in their native English and then just turn on the subtitles. I don't remember the last time I watched a movie in Croatian, probably when I was 7. So I always watch it in English and then I turn on English subtitles. So basically, every single aspect of your life needs to be aimed to improving the language.
Yeah, that's an awesome hack. And it's something that I use as well, because otherwise it's so hard for non-native to improve a certain language. Can be English, can be Spanish, whatever. But if you want to learn a new language and actually running a business in that language, you must consume in that language. And I would like to ask you, before wrapping things up, where people can connect with you apart from your newsletter?
LinkedIn. You probably knew the answer. Yes, probably LinkedIn is the best place to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I follow Dina for a while now. And if you're not following her, she's the queen of LinkedIn. So you definitely have to do it, because she's shared value after value after value every single post. And to wrap things up, I want you to create a short challenge for those listening to put into practice what they learned today. One single step they can do in less than 24 hours to start improving their content to actually make money with it.
I would say think on who do you help, what do you help them with, and how. And then when you decide on those 3 things, think on what does that target person, target client need to see before they buy. So what will convince them to buy? And this is basically the only pillar of your content you need.
That's the holy grail. If you nail that down, you're basically good. Awesome. Thank you so much, Dina, for sharing all that.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening, everybody. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to subscribe to your favorite podcast station to not miss when we drop the next one. We have lots of exciting guests and surprises for you coming up. This is your host, Gabe Marushka, with the Nomad Solopreneur Show. Until next week, Pura Vida!